The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect those of Into the Pit or the Vibes Broadcast Network. This show is intended for mature audiences. Please welcome your host, Coyote Knight.
Welcome everyone to Into the Pit. I have here from NsPS TV, Mr. Terry Crozier. How are you doing today, sir?
All right, how's it going today?
It is rainy day.
Yeah, no, it's kind of gloomy, but hey, it's the day where you just want to sit back and drink a beer, and just chill out.
Well, I have my tea. Got to have my tea. But I make a long story short. Me and Terry here, we started following each other on Instagram, and then I found out that he doesn't live too far from me. And I was kind of excited to know that there was another group close by where I live. So give us your story.
All right, my name is Terry. I'm the founder of NsPS TV. We've been doing this. We've been doing this for almost a year, doing paranormal investigations. We are a Cedar Park product. Most of us live right here in Cedar Park, and we came together about a year ago, to decide, well, let's go out and, do something a little weird. So we started our investigation. We went, Corey, we had our bumps and bruises. We went from this to that. But, a year later, we're still at it. We're still kicking. And we're just trying to get, to where I think that we need to be. And that's big time, There's not too many of us in Central Texas as far as paranormal investigators. I know there's a couple around, but not too many.
Yeah.
So we, yeah, I mean, that's it. It's four of us. Three of us work together. We work at Buffalo Wild Wings right there off of Cedar Park. Also, yeah, you will see me there just about every night, except for Fridays and Saturdays. So if you want to come in and talk to me, you're more than welcome.
Okay. I expect some free wings when I go in there.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem with that. I mean, I bring home more wings in a little bit. I mean, I'm actually sick of wings, but yeah, I can definitely accommodate you. Where we were just sitting at the bar one day, and we just say, hey, man, let's just put a team together, because there's a lot of history in Central Texas, a lot of history people really don't know about or really don't care about knowing. They want to live their day-to-day lives, not knowing whether, the property that you live on or the land that you owned, something might have happened there, so yeah, I mean, you just got to be, aware of your surroundings, and do a little history on your property,
Yeah.
And we investigate from houses, cemetery, abandoned buildings, and slave plantations. That's something that, most people don't know anything about. Austin do have slave plantations back in the early 1800s. I just happened to come across one about last month, and I went out there with my drone and did an aerial view of it. And trust me, it's the place that I think that everybody should go to. It sits right smack down in the middle of a neighborhood. It's actually called Sneed's Plantation. It's
Okay.
right there off the east side of 35. And yeah, that's a place I think everybody just should go out there and just just look around and just look at the place, and that right there would tell you how much history it is. If you The plantation was, if you guys know anything about East Austin, like around the Dust Springs subdivision, all that used to be a plantation. So yeah, I really urge you guys to go out there and check it out if you're from Central Texas, or you from Austin, or you just curious about history. I
Yeah.
mean, I suggest you guys to go out there. You know,
Yeah, for sure.
it's a pretty cool place. Well, let me tell you how I actually really got started. You know, a little bit curious about my paranormal. I was a young kid, and my dad passed away in Vietnam, so and my mom lived out of state, so I pretty much lived with my grandma my whole life. And her being a true Southern Baptist, she's very religious. And
Hmm.
so one night, it was a Sunday, and did something she normally don't do. She went to church, and she gave her part of her day to the Lord. And the rest of the day, she decided, well, it's Sunday. Instead of me cooking Sunday dinner, I'm going to go out to the club. So she went out to the club. She went out to the club, and it was 10 of us in that house. Because I remember she had 10 boys, 10 girls. So I figured, she had a little right to go out and do a little something. But anyway,
Hmm.
back to the story. She went out one night and she got out of her car. And this is something that she told me and the rest of the family on what had happened the next day. That, she saw a chariot, I kid you not, come up the street. She was really freaked out. She was like, what the hell is this? Something you never seen before, And so the chariot stopped in front of the house. By then, she's in the front door. And believe it or not, she told me that the devil himself got out of that chariot, walked up to that door, and, her being the Southern Baptist she was, she's not scared of the devil. She wasn't, So they started fighting. The devil said, I want in. And my grandmother said, no, you're not coming in. And they started fighting. Apparently, he ended up making his way into the house and just tearing up the whole house, knocking over chairs, tables, couches. Just, they were literally fighting. And the whole time, you got kids in the house who didn't hear anything. I mean, nothing. Apparently this lasted maybe a good hour, maybe I say give it 2 hours. The fighting had stopped. He had left, and so everybody was getting ready for school.
Hmm.
So we we woke up, thinking everything was cool, and we walked into the living room, into the kitchen, and we saw the place was just a mess. And we asked our, grandmother, it's like, hey, what happened in here, Grandma? And she sat down on that couch and she said, Terry, last night I had a fight with the devil. And I was like, if you had a fight with the devil, how come we didn't hear all this commotion that was going on? Because to me, I slept like a baby. I mean, with all the stuff that was knocked over on the walls, I mean, with all the chaos, I would figure I would hear something. Somebody would hear something.
Right, right.
But it was, I mean, Kyle, believe it or not, I did not hear nothing. Did nobody hear nothing? We woke up, the place was a mess. And she was just exhausted. Like she put her last breath into protecting us or whatever she was trying to protect, and that's a story that has always been, I've always, in the back of my head. I'm like, wow. I mean, can you believe? I mean,
But
every day I think about that.
you have to admit, I mean, that sounds very fantastical. If you tell people that, they're going to think, uh-oh, what kind of clubbing has she been doing? I mean, don't
Yeah,
get me wrong. I mean, I totally believe stories like that because, I've been in similar situations myself. And unless you've actually been through it, people aren't really going to believe you.
they, they're not gonna believe it. But you were literally had to been there to see all the. I mean, it was just the house was just ransacked, and I know that's something. I mean, why was somebody drunk go in and ransack their own house. And plus, you know, you got 10 other kids in there that's really not, you know, I just can't explain it. I mean, you literally would have to hear all that. I mean, glasses broke, plates broke, things coming out the cupboard. I mean, couches turned over, TVs, just about everything you could think of that was, you know, that wasn't right. So, and I'm like, and that's one before she passed away. And I'm, you know, I'm like, that's what one amazing story. And she had to be one strong woman to actually protect her family for something like that, you know. And I'm like, you know, to protect her family for something like that, you know. So I commend her for doing that. And that was really my jump start into actually getting into the paranormal, you know. So
Well,
yeah,
I got to say this, okay, and not to sound stereotypical, but all my friends, you know, if ever I ask any of my black friends to go with me on an investigation, they're like, oh, hell no, I don't mess with that kind of stuff. And it's a very rare thing. Not that there aren't, but I mean, for the most part, most black folks don't mess with it.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of us that, you know, it's from our upbringing that, you know, that we don't do this. We don't, there's certain things that we really don't mess with,
Right,
you know,
right.
as far as the paranormal. But yeah, dude, I mean, I'm a true believer. I mean, she has no reason to lie on that one. I mean, my grandma told a lot of stories, but that one there, I believe. And she, and man, I'm speechless. I'm always speechless when I tell that story to somebody, you know. But that's something that, yeah, that she really, really did her protection on. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, ever since then, I've been interested. And dude, I mean, I pledged myself that I was gonna get this, and I was gonna get it right.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, and make sure that, and make sure, you know, because a lot of people ask me, Kyle,
Mm-hmm.
well, all your videos are direct. I'm like, yeah, they're direct. And he's like, why you don't edit? Why you don't put something creepy on there? You know, and I'm like, well, that's not me, man. I just, I don't do that. I've really been, you know, into the paranormal and really, you know, like I said, ain't too many brothers do this.
Sure.
One thing about Buffalo Wild Wings, they do support me on my paranormal adventures.
Really?
Yeah, so I mean, these guys here, I mean, they're pretty cool company. My boss is pretty cool. Shout out to Gus. So whenever I need, you know, I get a quick phone call or something's going on where somebody needs me ASAP, I'm gone. You know,
Yeah.
without any questions asked. Yeah, so I mean, they guys are pretty cool. You know, most of them follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and not so much Facebook. I'm trying to learn this new one, this TikTok. I'm trying to figure that one out.
I ain't figured that thing out. I'm giving that over to my daughter. She knows more about that stuff than I do. I don't know how
Yeah,
that works.
yeah. So I'm hopefully I'll get it on by the speaker. Hopefully I'll be able to figure that one out. It seems like it's pretty interesting, just to get, just to you know, get like a 2-minute video out. I mean, I've seen a lot of people doing that, but yeah, that I'm definitely trying. As me trying to advertise, I mean, I advertise a lot on, you know, just on social media. I really don't, you know, do anything else but that.
So
So
you sound like me. I have all the social media accounts, but I've got to where, number one, people just get ugly on there to each other.
yeah,
And so
well,
I get on, I put my advertisements about the show or if we're doing anything in particular, and I pretty much leave it alone after that because I don't like getting in the middle of all that mess.
yeah, well, just so happened, you know, the people in Cedar Park are pretty cool about it. I mean, they ask a lot of questions, you know, and you know, they figure, well, I got something going on in my house. Can you come check it out? You know, so they are, you know, I give it to the people out here. You know, they are a little bit curious on what exactly do we do. You know, where we go.
Yeah.
You know, can I do like a investigation with you guys? But then again, you got people out here that know but don't want to know. You know, because you got people, you know, that like, well, something is definitely going on, but I don't want nobody. I don't want my next door neighbor to know. You know, so
That's a big deal too. I've noticed that a lot of people are real skeptical about, you know, hey, I don't want everybody in the world knowing about this.
yeah. So they want to keep it hush hush and all that, you know, and just figure, well, it, it'll just go away by itself, you know. But that's not always the truth, you know.
Well, you know, another thing is we have a lot of Native American burial grounds around here.
Yeah.
In fact, I used to work for the city of Cedar Park, and right where our yard was at, where our trucks and equipment and everything was, right in the middle of it, they had a fenced-in area. You could not go in there because that was a burial ground.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I'm glad you mentioned that up, because I drive by Milburn Park every day, and and she is buried on the park.
Really?
They
I
got
did
her,
not know that.
yeah, they got her fenced off, got her big plot right there fenced off, and she's literally buried on the property at Milburn Park. 'Cause I used to go fly my drone over there, like I said, and I pass by there every day when I come home from working. And I just happened to make her, you know, look over, just look at her gravestone every time I go by there. I'm like, wow, you know, check this out. I mean, yeah, I'm not for sure if it's a historical marker or what, but I know they got her sectioned off on one part of the park where you can't go in there, and she's there just chilling.
What's interesting about Cedar Park, and it's different than any place else I've ever lived or worked at, there'll be neighborhoods, and in the middle of the neighborhood, they'll have a fenced-in area with a small cemetery. May not even be that many people buried there, but there'll be a cemetery right in the middle of the neighborhood.
Right in the middle of the neighborhood. You know,
It's crazy.
I got a call from a girl. She messaged me on Facebook, and like you say, she lived in a block house.
Mm-hmm.
And she had just happened to ask me a question: have I seen the man, the top hat man? Yeah, apparently he roams over there by the train tracks. Apparently he might have got hit by the train back in the early 1980. I would say 79 or 80. And this guy walked along the train tracks with a top hat, and he just happened to get hit by the train one day. And and I'm like, well, I've never even heard of that one. The top hat man, the black top hat man, or something like that. And so I did a little research on him, and sure enough, a man with a top black hat, did get hit by that train that runs through there. And they end up going up to Liberty Hill. And but unfortunately, the train, the section of the train tracks, it's not specific on what section of the train track he actually got hit on, because Blockhouse is a pretty big subdivision.
Yeah, it really is.
So it'd be like a needle in a haystack, me walking around with the camera on in somebody's backyard looking for a guy with a top hat.
You're gonna get shot here in Texas.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I kind of let that one go, but it's still in the back of my head. Is that myth, or is it legend, or whatever it is? But yeah, it's a lot of history. Like I say, it's a lot of history in Cedar Park. It's a lot of history in Round Rock. It's just a lot of history in Central Texas that, if you're a paranormal investigator, you need to focus on that history, and don't get me wrong, some people will invite you in. They will love to find out. But then again, there's some who don't want to know.
Well, and
You
you
know,
also have to be careful because there's a lot of people that think, oh, you're going to bring in cameras and they're going to get on TV and they're going
yeah.
to get famous. And it's like, I'm sorry, that's not what we're in it for. We're here to help people.
I'm not in it to be famous. I'm in it because that's something that I love to do. And that's just me. Uh, I mean, I know people, who've asked me, say, well, what are you going to do if you get famous and you get put on TV? And I'm saying, well, that's very slim to none. I'm not saying that it won't happen, but I'm just saying, I'm just going to be me. I mean, I'm just going to
Right.
continue being me, doing what I love to do. That's me. Now, one of my idols, the guy that I really look up to on YouTube is Franco TV. I
What,
don't know if
what's that
he's a guy.
again?
Have you seen him?
Who's this again?
Franco TV.
Franco TV? Nah.
Okay, check him out. He's a paranormal investigator who's by himself. I mean, he really doesn't have anybody with him. I mean, he investigates everything from urban, cemetery. He even went out to Area 51 and got ran off.
Which I
Yeah,
want, let me say this. I'm going to stop right here and say this. I do not advocate for anybody to go out and do investigations on your own
you're right.
because that you're taking a chance. You get hurt, especially if you're in a place that's abandoned and you're there by
Oh yeah,
yourself. You never know what can happen. So I do not
yeah.
advocate that whatsoever.
I learned my lesson on that when I was out in Williamson Creek Cemetery. This cemetery is located off of William Cannon. It's like you just said. It sits down in the middle of a neighborhood.
Hmm.
It has 1,500 marked and unmarked graves dated
Wow.
back to 1860. When I did my little research, I was like, man, I got to get this. I mean, but I didn't have anybody to go out with me that particular night. It was a Saturday night. Saturday night, I'm an old school guy. I'd rather investigate something than go hang out on 6th Street or, go do what these kids do today. That's just not me. So I decided, hey, what the heck? I go do it myself. I went out there. The gates were open. I started my investigation. I really enjoyed it. This is when I first seen things got kind of crazy because I saw my first shadow figure. And,
Oh boy.
and I did not know how to react or respond towards that. When you see something you really can't explain, and you're the only one there. But as I was walking, I started noticing indentions in the ground. And I'm like, wait a minute. These are graves
Hmm.
because the way the earth, everything had sunk in. These were graves. So I was walking. I probably got maybe a couple feet into the cemetery, and I sunk in. I was like, oh my God, dude! Just think if I sunk in, hit this coffin 6 feet deep, how would I get out of there?
You're stuck. You're stuck, brother.
How would I get out of there? And walking into unmarked graves, you really don't know where they're at until your feet actually step into them.
Hmm.
So I've ran into, oh my God, that night had to be at least 20 of them. I mean, and I'm just my knees are bad already. So every time I walk and I step into a grave, not only I'm buckling, my knees are buckling also, and not knowing how unstable the ground was. So I'm like, oh golly, dude. So I tried to go where I can see markers where, but then again, you might have a family member where they couldn't afford tombstone or whatever. Then you walk over there, then you turn around, you walk into the same problem.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, I learned my lesson on that, where you definitely got to have, somebody with you or some kind of communication where you can actually, something wants to happen where you can definitely communicate with somebody. it's definitely a dangerous profession, but it's a fun profession once you get to know what you're doing and what you're looking at. You know, you make sure you got the the right equipment, and always have a cell phone. You got to have some communication. No ifs and buts about it. But otherwise, I mean, I've always tried to have at least 2 people. I understand that half of my team, they work a lot. They got families of their own, so they might not can do what I do. I'm a little bit older. My kids are grown, so I'm able to get out there and do more, than what these guys are doing. But yeah, I reckon don't never go by yourself. Unless
Definitely not. Hey,
never.
even if I know the area, I still wouldn't do it by myself. You
No.
just never know.
You never know. I mean, I've run into cops asking me what I'm doing. I mean, but
But you're going around at night with a flashlight. I mean, come on.
What are you doing? Yeah, dude, that was one weird night. They were cool about it. But a good thing about it, I put them on camera. I got photo shots with them because most of them never seen don't even know what a paranormal investigator, was or how, what he did, So we sat out there, took cameras, pictures, and everything. They were cool about it. It's like, well, this is gonna be on YouTube. I like, well, I can't. I'm not gonna, I'm gonna edit you out, because I don't really want any, problems with that. So, yeah.
Funny story. We got a call to do a house. This is when we lived close to Houston. And the neighborhood was already kind of a sketchy neighborhood as it was, but I mean, it was an older neighborhood. The house that we were invited to go investigate was not occupied. We had permission to be there, but the owners, nobody was there. And so you can imagine walking around in the dark with a flashlight, going from room to room. How somebody could get a little suspicious. What the heck are you guys doing?
Right.
So yeah, you definitely need somebody there to kind of back you up.
And it's good to have somebody. I try to have somebody who has a little bit knowledge. As you said, if I ran into something like that, that's a little bit that knows the law. You got to have somebody who's a little bit law savvy. So you can actually, put 2 and 2 together, make something make little sense when let's say if the cops do come around, it's like, so that unfortunately I don't have anybody like that right now, but new members, to join the team. I mean, I'm not just stuck on 4 members. The more members, the merrier for me. The hardest thing that I have is, like I say, I do all the research my own, and sometimes I just don't have time to do research because I work. Have somebody there that just love to research things, and give us the rundown. And they say, hey, Tara, we got this, we got that, blah blah blah. I think we can do this, and we can go from there. So that's pretty much what I'm looking for, for somebody who can do that, who got a little bit more time. Let's just say they got a little bit more money than time, because if you got time, if you got money, you got time, but yeah, so that's exactly what I'm looking for, so.
And you have to find people who are committed.
Yeah, totally committed. And I've had people that come up, that would love to do it, but what the first thing they say? Am I getting paid?
Yeah, that's dude. I paid for all this equipment out of my pocket. I'm not getting paid. I don't charge people to go investigate their houses. And you got to be leery about people who do charge.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I pay. Like I say, I'm not I'm not good with the computer. This editing thing is something new. I do pay for all my editing. Luckily, he's a co-worker that I can work with. He went to school with, you know, and shout outs to him. He only charged me $50 per video, which I don't think is bad because, you know, most people can charge you, if you really want it done right, most people can charge you an arm and a leg, you know, but until I get this editing thing down right, I'll probably be, you know, paying him. This something he went to school for it, so he has an idea on what he's doing. And we, you know, I haven't had any issues yet with him, or you know, with the product that he puts out. You know, whatever I send him, that's what he does, and he's a pretty good guy. You know, shout out to Cato. His name is Cato. Cato Editing.
Cato?
Actually, he's from Houston, Texas too.
Really? I'm sorry.
He's he's from Houston, and you know, and he's been telling me, you know, that I really need to get out into Houston and do some investigating out there. But me myself, I just feel like my job is not done here in Central Texas.
Yeah. Well, if you're
You know,
going to go that area, go to Spring. Spring, Texas is
Texas.
that's the best place to go.
Wow.
There's a lot of history there too. Speaking of history, have you done any investigating in Liberty Hill?
Liberty Hill. No, I can't say I have got that far yet. Well, you know what? I kid you not. No, I got a friend of mine who did a cemetery over there in Liberty Hill. I can't think of the name of it.
Okay, because I've done a cemetery out there as well. I'm not big on cemeteries. I'll be honest. I just don't. I don't see why there would be ghosts hanging around their dead bodies. But you know, I could be wrong. Yeah, but there is a cemetery there where an actual family is buried in a stagecoach in the middle of the cemetery.
Are you serious?
Yes, dead serious. Yeah, they were killed in some kind of ambush, and then they were just buried right there in their stagecoach.
Huh. That's very. I'm having. You know, do you have the name of that cemetery, my friend?
I'll have to ask. My wife knows. I honestly do not remember myself. There's actually signs saying just, you know, to stay out of the cemetery during the evening hours, but I mean, they got picnic tables out there and everything. So if you wanted to, you know, go out there and have a picnic, you could.
They have no trespassing signs out there, or they do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think the farthest I've been north of Austin, we went out to Llano to Baby Head Cemetery. Have you been out there?
Have not been out there.
Oh my God, dude, you have to go. If I recommend any Central Texas paranormal investigator to go to Baby Head Cemetery. Let me give you the history on this place. Back in, I believe, the early 1800s, it was some, if you know anything about Central Texas, it was Indians everywhere. And some of the people, you know, I don't know who they were. They were, you know, traveling. They settled in Llano. Well, the Native Americans were like, well, no, you're not going to come here and just take our land.
Right.
So, the Indians got pissed off and just start killing everybody. Well, it all started because the Indians killed the baby on the side of a hill, and that's the reason why they called it. There's a mountain out there that's called Baby Head Mountain. Also, apparently they took the baby, cut the head off, and put the head on top of the cemetery. I mean, on top of the mountain for a warning. Well, it didn't stop the settlers from coming in, but the settlers kept coming in, and finally, the Indians got fed up and just murdered everybody. Babies, kids.
Wow.
Everything. So when you go out to Baby Head Cemetery, you'll be able to see, because they have a historical marker. It has a big historical marker on there. It'll tell you what happened to it. But anyway, that whole cemetery is just babies from the time the Indians, they just buried all the babies right there, all the kids. You might have some adults out there, but most of them are, infants. Even the first infant, the baby that the Indians cut a head off, is buried there, but the head isn't, just the body. And so if you ever want to go out there, it got the big historical marker. It'll tell you everything. But anyway, we did an investigation out there, and we had our, I think it was the SLS camera. Oh my God, dude, we picked up kids wanting to hold our hands. It was so much activity out there. It was just unbelievable. We had our little flashlight. We asked questions. Hey, it's okay for us being here. Please turn the flashlight on or off. The flashlights came on or off. Things really got out of hand when my other member, Jeremiah, started playing Indian music with the drums and everything. Things got a little, out of hand there. But if I had a place that somebody that wants to do a paranormal investigation, or you just want to go actually see something, that would be the place to go. I mean, because the history is real. I mean, the cemetery is alive and running at night. I mean, because all these kids there, I mean, the spirits of these kids are actually there. I mean, you would actually be shocked on what you would see once you get in that place. Like we got there probably about around 11:30 or so. It's like a 2-hour ride from here to Llano. But once you get there, you will not be disappointed. So I urge you, if you're, love the paranormal, that's something that you consider doing, and if you're looking for a spot, I suggest you to take that 2-hour trip and go to Llano, Texas, and actually do an investigation there. These entities, I mean, they mean you no harm. They're kids. There's nothing bad about it. They just as curious as you are. I found that out when one was trying to hold my hand.
Oh, wow.
On our camera. And I'm like, wow, dude, it's so amazing, out there. And the good thing about it, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's complete dark. Not only is the cemetery is beautiful, but once you look up in the night sky, that's beautiful also. So you actually get two things. You're getting a good view from the sky above, and you're actually getting some good investigation once you get there. So I urge anybody, to go there and check that place out. Be respectful.
Yeah, very important.
Yes, be respectful and just, ask simple questions, because we're not dealing with adults. We're dealing with kids, who don't quite understand on what's happening to them or what had happened to them. So yeah, that's a place you guys definitely got to check out. I mean, it blew my mind, that, and yeah, I'm speechless, because you definitely got to check that place out. I mean, that's that cool.
Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take you to Liberty Hill. You're going to take us to Llano.
You got a deal, but my Honda don't have any air conditioning, so I don't know if
All right, well, I'll tell you what, I'll make sure that we'll provide the transportation. You just provide the directions.
That's cool. Actually, west out in that area of the hill country, there's a lot of history over there too.
Mm-hmm.
There is in Llano, there is a hotel that's supposedly be haunted. I can't think of the name of that hotel. It's right there off the main road. They made it into a bed and breakfast, but since COVID is going on, there's you really can't get in there.
Yeah.
But what I'll do is I think I have a picture of it. I will send you that picture and let you do a little history on it. And, maybe it's something that you guys might want to go, after we go visit Babyhead, and just do a little stop right there. It's a pretty cool little, bed and breakfast.
Well, Seguin's the same way. Have you been through Seguin?
Very interesting place. A lot of history. A lot of deaths.
Yes. That's where the Magnolia Hotel is at.
Yeah, you know what? We tried to actually get in that place, but if I'm right, she wanted to charge us like, I think if I'm right, like $100, $120 for the night, and it was like 5 of us, so it turned out to be like $500.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah. So we decided that we were going to skip on that place and actually wait till they actually finish with the renovations. I'm not for sure if they uh, finish the renovations on that place or not. I know they were doing it. Yeah, but that place is very interesting too. I mean, I would love if she can lower the price. I would love to go. But
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
kind
if
of
it was an event going on, then I can understand charging $100 a head. But just to go in and investigate, that's a little steep.
yeah. I mean, not only I'm pretty sure she knows what's there already, but we would definitely be helping her out. Because I mean, what we find and what we validate is only helping her to put on her situation or whatever she charges. She probably up the ante a little bit, but
Well,
I
you
can,
figure with the history of that being on television, on the different
yeah,
paranormal shows, I think that's probably why they think, okay, well, we can charge, some extreme amount of money. I mean, come on, you can make your money, charge, 25, maybe $50.
you
You're
you
gonna make
know
your money.
you would make your money regardless.
Exactly.
Either way it goes, you would definitely make your money. Like where's that one place? It's one place that was charging outrageous, and I'm like, no, I can't, I got a family. I can't spend that type of money, I
Yeah.
mean, I understand you guys, but I got to look at what's going on here,
But
and
I mean, there's
that
a
type,
lot of cool places. Then they, like Yorktown Hospital, that's another great place to go to. But they do charge quite a bit to go in there when there's
right,
so many other places you can go and not cost you a dime.
exactly. See, and that's, when I started up this, that's what I have to say. I'm like, hey man, I'm just gonna look for places that's not gonna charge me anything, who's just as curious to know if they actually got something going on, and go from there. My last investigation, which I took my wife with me, was Ghost Town in Maynard, Texas. Have you been there?
I've not been there. No.
Okay, let me give you a little history on this thing. This gentleman named George uh, graduated from Southwest Texas, and he decided to move up to Manor and build a ghost town. Now, what he did is all the old wood that people don't want, and all these old houses that are being knocked down. Well, anyway, he ended up taking all that wood and replacing it and putting it out there. He just building houses up. So we're talking about houses that are run down. Nobody just wants. He literally built a 5-acre ghost town out of old wood.
Now I've
And
drove by there. I have drove by there.
yes, and he got just old antiques that could have, possibly a connection to someone, or, somebody might have liked, and they didn't want to part with it. It's just 5 acres of just great stuff. And so we went out there last weekend and did an investigation. He said, "Hey man, you guys come on out and do an investigation. I got some stuff going on out here. These in my kitchen, somebody's throwing stuff off the tables. It's just come out here. I need your help." Because I think the last time an investigation team was out there was like 20 years ago. A
Really?
team called Austin Paranormal. I've never even heard.
I know that guy. Robert?
Well, Austin Paranormal.
Yeah.
So yeah, he went out there, and he showed him. He's like, it was some orbs and some things. Well, you know, like I was telling him, technology is a little bit different than 20 years ago than what it is now. The things that we have now, they probably didn't have 20 years ago. You know, so we went out there, me and my ex-wife, and, you know, as soon as I walked into I mean, literally 5 minutes into the place, we heard footsteps, boots. I mean, just boots. I mean, they're like old-timey boots. So, you know, I just haven't mentioned. I say, hey, you guys want to follow me? You're more than welcome. You know, we got around the post office. We went inside the post office, and they got this big porch, this big old Western porch where, believe it or not, if you ever watched an old Western movie and you actually hear the boots walking on the porch, same way. And my wife said, hey, those are footsteps. And I paused, footsteps. And I'm like, wow, check this out. And so we went into the post office, and believe it or not, the way the post office is set up to be like a upstairs, downstairs, but there's really no upstairs.
Right.
But there's a balcony on the outside. And we stopped and we're like, there's footsteps upstairs, but there's no upstairs. How is this even possible? And somebody was walking on the ledge. And another thing is, when we're out there, I watched 100 Western movies. Kids really didn't have a place to play.
Right.
They didn't have any basketball courts or anything. So when they bounced the ball on the porch or on the walkway like everybody else walked. That's when we heard that too. And that little ball just bouncing. I'm like, oh my God, check this out. I mean, walked around to the jail, and it was activity there. I mean, my little ghost meter went off. I mean, it was just, and what really crazy is, we went into the church. When we got into the church, and I put my little ghost ball right there, because I got a very sensitive ghost ball. If you touch it, it'll go off. You know, and I'm just like, hey, you touch this ball, make it go off, I will leave. That ball went off, and I got the hell out of there.
Yeah, but you know, if you tell a ghost, hey, you know, if you do this for me, I'll leave, and they do it, you better be good with your word.
Yeah, you got to be, because they definitely will get angry with you. But you know, that's a place that most people don't think about as as something paranormal, because an individual will, you know, take things from here and take things from there and put it together. But we also got to realize that, you know, ghosts do attach themselves to certain things because that's something that they liked, or that's a home that they liked, you know. So wherever, you know, that certain property goes, an entity or a ghost is going to attach themselves to that, and it's going to move. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what's going on out there. Another investigation team that I'm affiliated with went out there, I think the week after, I'm not for sure what day. Hey, might have been doing a weekday. Went out there, and they picked up some things on their little LCS camera or whatever that thing. It's too expensive for me. You know, picked up some things out there, you know, so it's definitely something going on. So I think that should be one thing that you guys should go out there and check out. And besides, it's free. All you got to do is say, hey, George, call George up and say, hey, I want to check out your place. You know, George is a good guy, and you can go out there and just hang out. It's about 5 acres, of pure excitement. But they do got a bear out there, dude, that's in a corner. If you don't know it's there, it will startle the hell out of you. Because if you see something about 6 feet tall in the dark, you know, and you turn around with your camera, it's gonna scare you. I mean, I don't care how bad you are. It scared the hell out of me, man. And my wife laughed her ass off.
Real quick, you mentioned that we did that investigation at Yorktown Hospital several years ago, And in one of the little nooks, they had a mannequin. Okay, we knew it was there, but I swear every time I passed by it, it scared the crap out of me. And I knew it was there. But you're in the dark, and all of a sudden you turn that flashlight around. Here's eyeballs staring at you. You're like, "What the?"
Oh shit! Yeah, yeah. I mean, you really.
Well, that's the end of part one of our interview with Terry Crozier, and we're going to have him back on because he's got plenty more stories to tell, and he's doing an investigation at a local cemetery. Now, special note about this place: it was filmed in the very first Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So stay tuned.
Oh boy.
Thank you for joining us on Into the Pit. Please follow us on Facebook at the Vibes Broadcast Network and Instagram at the Vibes Broadcast.